stated, I wasted a lot of power when I was president of these people. But one of the things I did get done was I've actually made a bunch of animes. And there's subtle hints that they're probably directly created by me because of how I think. And I also brought back animes for really stupid reasons. Fantasy animes. Medieval style. A lot of the ones that came out recently have a lot of these fantasy elements that are kind of medieval. That was all me. Japan's medieval age is really different. Their feudal era is really different than the European feudal era. There are samurais, which would be the equivalent to knights, all those things. I'm not going to get into that history lesson, but fantasy animes are really different and aren't natural to Japan. A European style fantasy animes. That's people wearing knight armor and stuff. The first one was Plus Size Elf. Plus Size Elf came about because a guy from Japan, after I reported this church as a massive human trafficking ring, contacted me, explained that he found out that I enjoyed anime, and he wanted to thank me for getting his daughter out of human trafficking, because he told me it was an impossible task. He believed I was a samurai. He believed I was a reincarnation of a god. And he wanted to please me by making an anime, to which I told him when I was a kid, I had this anime called Dove.Love. It had these god-like characters that had kind of pointed ears. They were kind of elfish. And she was a chubby girl that struggled with her weight. And I really liked BBWs, and you didn't really see BBW animes. And then he was like, I'm going to make a BBW anime. So I ran down the simple outline of my Dove.Love comic without giving away any of my storyboards, because I was worried this guy was going to steal my storyboards. My shitty garbage, fan-made, non-arc, really crappy made storyboards. I was worried of losing those. Yeah. So I told him about Flan and how Flan had an overly developed mommy issue. She had a maternal instinct to adopt every child she came across, which I believe is who the ogre chick is in the Plus Size Elf, because she seemingly wants to adopt everybody, and she's a big, strong mommy. But yeah, the Plus Size Elf anime. Even the character, the Dark Elf, having a pear shape and all those things, that was all me. That guy called after I signed the perjury, and told me he was canceling that anime, so I don't know how that anime actually made it to the cutting room floor as a real anime. Also, the anime makes no sense. It's supposed to be about being plus-sized and healthy at the same time, but it just kind of turned into plus-size and fetishy, I guess. I mean, I still think, I haven't watched it. I really haven't. I've only seen glimpses of it on TikTok and on YouTube. It looks like a good anime. It looks funny. It does a lot of things that I think are hilarious. But yeah, Plus Size Elf. Dan. How that came up. I wanted an anime that explored the subtle differences between spirituality and conspiracy, and then compared the two on the same planes. Also, when I was in high school, I had a story called Tough Old Guy, Tough Old Bastard, which was later turned into Tough Old Lady, which is where the grandma in the anime came from. Originally, she was supposed to have the Japanese haircut with the bald head and the scorpion thing, but it looked horrible, and I told the guy if he made that anime, we'd fucking kill him. So, told him to make sure the old lady didn't have that going on. And I wanted the Japanese cat, the luck cat, to be a real character in the anime. Because you see it around, but you don't really see it in anime. I don't know much about Dan to Dan. I didn't watch it. I know the Green Hands thing and probably other things in it are probably similar to whatever fucking thing. Like, I remember telling the guy the character should eat at the end of the anime. I don't know why the fuck I said that, but I was high on drugs. DBZ. No, I did not invent Dragon Ball Z, and I'm not going to. I may have got Akira Toriyama murdered because there's this other loser who's an anime executive that really hated him, and he contacted me. And this kind of happened with the one Minecraft guy. They do the reference to him in the Minecraft movie. the other guy that was like competing with him told me, like, when that guy called, he's like, tell him that he's going to get cancer. And then I told him he was going to get cancer, and then they used CRISPR to give that guy cancer. That's the same way we killed Akira Toriyama, because the other anime guy, the dude that I think he made Demon Slayer, I'm not sure, I think he's a part of the team that made Demon Slayer, didn't like Akira Toriyama. So when I was talking to Akira Toriyama, he rang that guy before I spoke to, after I got done speaking with Akira Toriyama. That dude contacted me. It was like, your ideas are shit, and Akira Toriyama's going to die of a heart attack, and you need to tell him. So I called Akira Toriyama and warned him. And then the church killed his ass years later. It was DBZ, and the reason why I called Akira Toriyama about DBZ is I was high on drugs, again, and I wanted to see a female Majin Buu. I think they call it Android 21. And I told him there's fan art all over DA about female Majin Buu, but I would actually like to see one drawn by him. I had no intention of them actually turning it into an anime. One of the things he didn't do, though, is I mentioned I wanted a fat character from Chase's planet. Chase, from the Frieza saga on planet Namek, the Australian. I wanted a chubby alien with the red skin and white hair, like Chase. That's a female. From the Frieza saga. Yeah, from Space Australia. I wanted her to be a Space Australian. And I was just really excited to talk to the guy because he's really smart. He came up with a lot of things, and then I find out, much like me, he just flew by the seat of his pants. He just made the stuff up. He told me he was kind of tired of working on DBZ, and he ran out of story arcs, to which I suggested the Tournament of Power, an interdimensional multiverse, kind of like Marvel's universe. And I explained how you can expand these things and shrink these things, and I went on an entire Bobby soliloquy about the complexities and the intricacies of a more complex universe. Yeah, I'm not going to get into everything I spoke to him about, because we'd be here all day, because I talked on for hours talking to Akira Toriyama before that guy tricked me into killing him. Yeah. Miku, blue hair, blue eye, or blue tie, hiding in your Wi-Fi. I randomly decided, because I'm a Nightcore fan, that Miku needed to do more music. And that's where that song, Blue Hair, Blue Tie, Hiding in Your Wi-Fi, came from. Because I was out there, the wives were talking to me about something boring and stupid. It had something to do with, I had started a human trafficking turf war with like 5 other religions. And I ended up murdering some of their leaders. Because I was just trying to end the turf war as fast as I could. But the leaders are kind of like hydras. You cut their head off, and then another one just pops up. And it didn't matter how many of them I killed, so I planned to just bomb their entire religion out of existence. And the church got really upset about that. You need to remember, at one point, I basically almost told them to kill Mary Bowberry, and then I threatened to blow up the entire planet using nuclear weapons if they murdered Mary Bowberry. So literally I was going to end the world because they were going to kill Mary Bowberry, and I didn't want that to happen. Once again, I was high on drugs. Journey's End, Frieren. Journey's End is Deity's story. In my comic book with deities in his life, there's a thing called the Revelation. And in the Revelation, he realizes, after playing a video game, he is the max level character, and there is nothing on the planet that can challenge him. And it causes him to fall into a depression. Nothing can beat him. Everything seems pointless. Everything seems hopeless. And his story is about moving through that hopelessness. This story also parallels One Punch Man, which I don't know if I had a hand in creating that, but I don't believe I did. But specifically, deities, he has an entire mental breakdown. Not mental breakdown, but a mental recognition. That he's a miserable person because he's the most powerful person on the planet. He already knows what it's like to run everything. That sucks. He already knows what it's like to have infinite power. That sucks. He already knows what it's like to be an unstoppable god that everybody wants to kill because you're an unstoppable god. That sucks. Okay. And he covers, basically, in that story, his entire relinquishment. Demon Slayer. Yes, sir, Demon Slayer. I wanted I wanted an anime that showcased traditional Japanese values. The guy that was making it was against showcasing traditional Japanese values. I wanted to explore the swords, and similar to Naruto, where everybody was doing those hand signals like idiots. I wanted to give people an actual life skill. Breathing. Yes. It is an anxiety management tool to focus on your breathing. I know because I had high anxiety in high school. I was never able to process it, so what I would do is focus on my breathing. Which is why Demon Slayer focuses on your breathing. It also, each of the, like, Rengoku guys, the high-ranking guys, whatever they call them, I forget what they call them in the anime. They are all each secretly caricatures of individual religions that exist. The pink girl's wavy sword is a reference to an Indian weapon. The blind guy, the really big dude that's like Earth and he has the balls on him, he's a Buddhist. Tengen practices polygamy. Now, this was really funny because that anime was actually produced, created, and designed by a bunch of the church members and a bunch of the church resources. So when Japan called me, they told me they wanted to destroy the anime. They wanted to get rid of it. Because I wanted an anime that created that same feeling when you watched All Might on screen. Which is what they really did really good job of capturing in Demon Slayer. Another parallel in Demon Slayer is Nezuko. Nezuko was part of a vampire story, and also my original character, Dove.Love. Now, this is real evidence. My original character, Dove.Love, when she got powered up, she was covered in vines. Plants would appear on her. The same way what appears on Nezuko, I think, are cherry blossoms. That is a direct reference. But Nezuko was another story that happened in my universe when my character Flan, the really fat queen, before she was really fat, she got turned into a vampire, and they had to put a muzzle on her so she wouldn't eat people. And in that story, the way she beats the vampirism is by slowly exposing herself to sunlight over time without drinking blood, and it slowly burns away the vampire cells until they're all gone. And that's how she recovers from being a vampire in my story. It's a really stupid story. It was made by a 14-year-old, so it doesn't have to be good, but that guy managed to turn it into something amazing. Inosuke, as a reference to Princess Mononoke, and he's my favorite character arc, because in Japan, blood types and character arcs are related, and that's why every character, like Kenpachi Zaraki and Inosuke, are actually in the same vein. And speaking of Ken-chan, good old Kenpachi Zaraki, I wanted them to bring back Bleach. Not because I wanted a super complex world-spanning adventure or any really, really wild thing. I also gave this guy a whole lot of my stories I used to make up as a kid to work with as material. I had a character in my original story. He was basically a god that could just create anything he could think of. And Kenpachi Zaraki kills him in the Bleach anime. I didn't get to watch it because I didn't watch the Bleach anime. But I wanted to see Kenpachi Zaraki's Bankai. So I wanted them to resurrect Bleach just because I wanted to see what Kenpachi Zaraki's Bankai would look like. Yeah. Also, I wanted to see a really obese Bleach character. I don't think they came up with one as a female Bleach character that was like really fat, and her power of like fatness could be turned into other things of fatness. I also, once again, Resident Evil Village, the Baron was supposed to be a woman. I think they turned him into a man despite me, but I'm not even going to fight with it because I deserve that. I failed the world. Demon Slayer. Yeah. And Shika Noko Crush Tan. Shika Noko. How did that happen? One of the guys contacted me for an idea, and I was burnt out. I had given all my ideas to Akira Toriyama. I had given all my ideas to Demon Slayer, and that guy wanted to make an anime. And he told me that he believed that my ideas, because I was giving people ideas that were $1 million ideas, people were getting rich off of my ideas. It's amazing how many ideas I can come up with and make people money. And to this day, like, I literally think I should probably keep a journal of just good ideas and then be like, I'll give you a good idea, but you got to give me money. Crush Tan Tan. Yes, sir. I suggested an anime about a character who was a deer who looked like an average schoolgirl without her horns. It wasn't special, unique. I wanted dark overtones, and I told him, I was like, you couldn't do it today, but I think the world needs it. And he was like, what? And I told him, a lot of animes take themselves too seriously, as movies like John Wick and American cinema take things too fucking seriously. I was like, I want this to be a 1980s gag reel anime, and that was based off of before I became president of this church. I saw some kind of thing. I don't remember what it was, but it was a Japanese, like, 1980s vaudeville, like, cartoon, funny as shit anime. Yeah. Oh boy. And it was just over the top madness, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was the funniest thing, but it was such a refreshing thing from all the drab and seriousness of the world. So I told him to create an anime based on a girl who's a deer and lived as a deer and turns out to be a deer goddess, but is also a mascot, and basically turns up at a school one day and ruins this woman's life. That is what Shikanoko Noko is about. It is about a narcissistic, childish deer girl with cartoonish, godlike abilities that only work according to cartoon logic. Whatever she does has to be funny. And basically ruins the blonde-haired girl, because the blonde-haired girl is like a recovered bully, and she's uptight and proper and all these things, and Noko is just the complete opposite. She's a complete fucking imbecile with incredible fucking power. And even the stuntman things where it cuts to the really buff guy wearing her costume and shit was all me. I came up with all these things on a whim because this guy needed an anime to make, and I panicked, and I was God, and I had to perform, and I didn't know how to perform. And I even do this when I'm drawing art, by the way. I don't know how to perform or what I'm supposed to do. Sometimes when I'm drawing art, so I just end up tracing things, or I just beat myself up because my brain is hit writer's block. But yeah, during that process, I slapped together Shikanoko Noko Ten. And I told him it would be a short run anime, and I told him it had to be a short run because it was going to be that amazing, and that was the furthest thing from the truth. It had to be a short run because it was a bad idea. Yeah. I got more people killed that are great people, and they don't deserve to be dead when I was president.